G'day everyone, Eric here. Sometimes in fiction, just like in real life, a character is propped up as the next big thing, only to be screwed over. What's good for business takes priority over the anointed chosen one, or creative just doesn't know how to use them effectively, usually both at the same time. Then things turn sideways for the character rather quickly. This is exactly what happened with our topic of the day and one of my favourite Transformers, Rodimus Prime. The example. Debuting in Transformers the movie, Rodimus Prime has quite possibly the best introduction in the franchise to the mid-1990s. After the film sets up the premise with the transforming planet Unicron and plays the theme song, we cut to our new Kid Appeal character, Hot Rod. This introductory scene shows us everything we need to know about the character. The all-American boy, well-meaning, but headstrong and impulsive. He's cool, instantly likable, and aspirational. Prior Kid Appeal characters pushed by the cartoon, such as Trax and Hound, were presented as characters in their late 20s. Their personalities lack that cool factor. They're too old, stuffy, and they aren't aspirational. In the case of Bumblebee, he's too old-fashioned. Bumblebee is one, gee willikers, away from being a 1960s depiction of the good all-American boy. Hot Rod, on the other hand, is a contemporary depiction of the same character archetype for the time. He's still that good all-American boy, but for the 1980s. He's assertive and has a bit of an attitude. Character design plays a big part of Hot Rod's appeal too. The hot colour scheme is very strong, with lots of maroon, orange and yellow, then small red accents. The wrist-mounted lasers made of the exhaust, the spoiler on the back, and the flame deco on the chest all work together and build to the impact the character design makes upon the viewer. The head is probably the most quintessential Autobot head, taking aspects of Prowl, Optimus Prime, and even the Autobot insignia, turning into a futuristic sports car with exhausts, a flame deco on the hood, exposed engine, and a massive spoiler. Hot Rod oozes cool in both forms. He's the guy you aspire to be, and the car you want to drive. The original toy is easily one of the best G1 toys too. Hot Rod is also one of the most influential characters in the brand, with the Kid Appeal character archetype never returning to Bumblebee, Trax or Hound. Rather, all future characters are built from Hot Rod. Cheetor, Sideburn, and Hotshot are all his descendants. They not only have a more youthful, impulsive personality, being depicted in their late teens or early 20s, but go for a much cooler alt mode than a Jeep or a Beetle. Even Bumblebee, when he returns in 2007, has more than a bit of Hot Rod in him. People at the time said he was like Hotshot, but Hotshot is descended from Hot Rod. Hot Rod's deco and physical shape are regularly homaged too. In his original incarnation, Hot Rod follows the King Arthur story arc, the boy that uses the legendary item to become the king and save his people. For Hot Rod, that would be obtaining the Matrix in the battle with Galvatron, which causes him to become Rodimus Prime, and is used to vanquish the planet-sized Transformer Unicron. Only briefly touched upon in the film, the conversion to Rodimus Prime changes Hot Rod, aging him, making him taller, and reworking his vehicle mode into a different form. This is the start of the character's problems. The Cybertron Screwjob. Being Rodimus Prime is suffering. During the production of Transformers the movie, Hasbro was being highly secretive of spoilers, something that continued into the tech specs and even the commercials for the new toys. Hasbro went to such ridiculous extremes that even Takara didn't know the spoilers from the movie, which had a direct effect upon Rodimus Prime. The design team focused on Hot Rod, clearly all gung-ho for the character, making him the size of an old Ultra class, standing around 30 centimeters tall, approximately the size of Galvatron. Takara's designers were totally unaware that Hot Rod and Rodimus Prime were the same character, let alone that Rodimus Prime was the new Autobot leader. Hasbro had to correct them on this, resulting in Hot Rod being shrunken down to the toy we know today, and the Rodimus Prime toy being increased in size. Reportedly, this disappointed the designers. The development of Rodimus Prime's toy gets muddy from there. There is a wooden prototype with considerable differences to the final product, a radically different transformation closer to Studio Series Hot Rod, more articulation, a larger size, and a completely different trailer that turns into a computer rather than a battle platform. Why this was modified into what we have today, we can only speculate. Cost and price points would be the most likely reasons. It's hard to say anything nice about the Rodimus Prime toy we got. It looks the part, it carries all of Rodimus Prime's visual cues, but it's lanky, incredibly simple to the point of feeling unfinished, especially with how the trailer acts to hide the entirety of the robot's legs, and the face is unappealing. It looks like someone pulling their best Dirty Harry impersonation. The toy as a whole is just disappointing. It's quite the juxtaposition going from Hot Rod, one of the best toys in the line, to Rodimus Prime, a toy that could have and should have been so much more. The cartoon wasn't much kinder to Rodimus Prime. The intent with Rodimus Prime was for the character to mature over the season, growing from the young and impulsive Hot Rod into the Autobot leader Rodimus Prime. But this story arc is only ever directly addressed once, in the episode The Burden Hardest to Bear, the third last episode of the season. Rodimus Prime, as depicted in the cartoon, is someone completely drained by his position of leadership. He's tired, he's over it, he misses the carefree days of his youth. Gone is the turbo-revving young punk of Hot Rod. Rodimus Prime is written as a 40-something-year-old man going through a midlife crisis. While this is a relatable character for teen and young adult audiences growing into adulthood, it is well and truly above the intended demographic for Transformers. For kids, Rodimus Prime ends up very unappealing. He isn't a cool character, and he isn't an aspirational character. To them, he comes off as sad and pathetic. They haven't the life experiences to relate to him. Added to this, you have the vehicle mode, based on an obscure 1960s concept truck called the Bison by General Motors. It ended up being derided as the Space Winnebago due to its resemblance to a motorhome. Motorhomes, unlike sports cars, are not cool. If life couldn't get any worse for Rodimus Prime, we have why his story arc was neglected. Looking at the landscape of the brand at the time, you would assume the reason would be the fallout of Transformers the movie, or more precisely, the death of Optimus Prime. But it's not. It's a lot more mundane than that. At TFCon 2018, Flint Dilley, the story editor for Season 3, would say Season 3 was just poorly planned out. This is very apparent in the final product. Rodimus Prime's entire story arc is confined to one episode at the end of the season, as if it was an afterthought, when they know the character would be retired. Oh shit, what do we do now? Indeed. For the entire run prior, he is not written in a way that would be appealing for the target audience. He's actually more of a G.I. Joe character in execution, but that show has higher quality writing, and can make these types of characters with personal issues still likeable. Transformers makes Rodimus Prime empathetic, but not likeable, and certainly not aspirational. It fails to sell the audience on the idea of Rodimus Prime. Legacy. The legacy of Rodimus Prime is an interesting topic, as it's precisely why the character will never be allowed to reach its full potential. Rodimus Prime and the subsequent downward swing the brand took with 1986 taught Hasbro a lesson that has been invaluable to them over the years. Optimus Prime is the Autobot commander, can never be replaced, and attempting to do so is a dire mistake with catastrophic consequences. Rodimus Prime can never come back in any meaningful way. This also affects Hot Rod. While a popular character with many toys and direct homages over the years, he doesn't have a place in modern Transformers. As far as Hasbro is concerned, Transformers has a core cast, Bumblebee fills the same character archetype, and is more recognisable to general audiences. Even if he were to be cast aside for Hot Rod, Hot Rod's deco would be an issue. Children's media and their accompanying toy lines need the core cast to be distinct from one another. With a predominantly red deco, Hot Rod would clash with Optimus Prime. While his vehicle mode leaves a lot to be desired, Rodimus Prime's legacy is ultimately the product of writing incompetence. Hot Rod is incredibly toyetic and a very easy sell. His story is the hero's journey. It's a classic story archetype and has been in use for thousands of years. Rodimus Prime's story should have been the coming-of-age story. The story of Hot Rod's mind catching up to his body, accepting his role and responsibilities, growing up to become Rodimus Prime, while still being the same Hot Rod on the inside. Japan, at the very least, would have appreciated a more hot-blooded lead character. If you enjoyed today's video and want more Transformers content, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out a lot. Till next time, friends, this has been Eric from Toys Down Under, and thanks for watching.